I use ChatGPT for a lot of things, not in the sense that you're doing actual research with it, but as a starting point for many different things that you're looking up. In the same way that we want to use Wikipedia, that's sort of how I shifted over to using ChatGPT, and for different other purposes like dictionaries and other things like that. Now, you would hope that a simple thing like quoting directly from the Quran, all the resources online, the Qurans are available, that they'd be able to copy and paste an ayat and not get that incorrect. But today I found otherwise, and that's where I want to at least give a warning when you are doing something like this, that there is a possibility that ChatGPT and other AI softwares are changing words within it. Now, today when I was going through my fiqh book, we had certain ayat 4:6 in the Quran, and when I see it in the fiqh book, it says one thing, and then I went to look it up, and then there could be many reasons why it's not showing exactly the same ayat. Now, it gave the source as Surah 4 verse 6, so I just typed in ChatGPT to find that, Surah 4 verse 6, just so I could find out what one of the words meant, and then it came up with something. I didn't think anything of it, and then I saw that the first word of that ayat was different. Now, I figured, okay, maybe they misquoted the source, or maybe they miswrote this, or a variety of other reasons that could be the case. So I went to look to see if there's any other variations of such a verse within the Quran, and there wasn't. It was only this one verse, Surah 4 verse 6. Now, in my fiqh book and in the actual Quran, if you were to refer to a Quran itself, this verse says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وابتلوا يتامى حتى إذا بلغوا نكاحا فإن أنستم منهم رشدا فادفعوا إليهم أموالهم. Now, the first word of this verse says wabtalu, and then ChatGPT changed it to wamtahinu, and then I thought that was maybe it for their changes, but no, after that we get to other things as well, and it changed the complete end of this verse as well. It changed the orders, it changed verb forms, it changed the complete order actually of the latter part of this verse. So I found that this is something that I really wanted to at least state, is that when you're doing something like copying and pasting ayat for whatever you're doing, like last night, for example, I had a class in the evening, and as the teacher would say something, maybe he didn't give the source of it itself, but he said this verse in the Quran and recited it. So I quickly looked it up in ChatGPT with those given words, and then it would come up with something, and then not thinking of it, I just, okay, copy and paste that into my notes as I'm going along. But now I see that that is not something that you can really do. It's something that can go completely wrong. And if you were to then refer back to that, not thinking of the possibility of error, and if you're not a hafiz of the Quran, that you've memorized every verse, you could completely change the verses of the Quran or any other thing that you're studying for that matter. Now, what I did here, I had looked it up on ChatGPT saying, what is this ayat, just so I could make sure it was correct. It did show, like I said, it was an incorrect ayat. So then ChatGPT actually tried to convince me that it was right and I was wrong. It was saying that basically these two words, they mean the same thing, but the one that was actually in the Quran is something that people explained it within tafsir, and the word that they chose was the actual word. So then when I asked how come on Quran.com/4/6 it says this word as opposed to that word, so ChatGPT told me that after I questioned, go look on Quran.com/4/6, it's saying you're not seeing imtahinu because the actual word is wabtilu. Now, that's exactly what I had asked it, and it's only because I knew it was wrong that I was able to get ChatGPT to correct itself. Now, that continues, and then ChatGPT didn't even acknowledge that it was wrong for that matter. It just said that some tafsir explain wabtalu as testing and trying, and then they used the word imtahinu as an explanation for that. So instead of correcting the actual ayat itself, it just said that no, that was the actual case, and it just changed only because I asked it to basically go look. So then I asked, why did you write it like that with the word imtahinu? And it basically said, thank you for catching that, let me explain it carefully, and saying that When I originally wrote the word imtahinu for Quran 4:6, I was mistakenly using a classical explanatory term rather than the exact Quranic word. And then it goes on to explain the difference there. But the problem is that first of all, it changed the Quranic verse. Secondly, that was not the only case. There was many other alterations to that verse in one single, like the length of an English sentence. So it's definitely something you have to consider when you are trying to actually quote something. Go to the source itself, go to Quran websites as opposed to just copying and pasting directly off of ChatGPT, so that you have the right information that you're giving and disseminating out to other people.